All right, so um, we're going to dive into something that's been kind of, brewing in the fandom. HBO's pretty ambitious plan for a Harry Potter TV series.
Yeah.
We've got some insightful articles here from MovieWeb, Forbes, and Gamerant.
Okay.
And, one thing that really jumps out at me is this whole challenge of casting child actors for a series that's supposed to run for 10 years.
Right. That's a fascinating point. It's not just about finding the right kids to play Harry and Ron and Hermione right now. It's about whether those actors can believably grow with the roles over a decade, especially when, those characters go through some pretty, significant physical and emotional changes.
Exactly. And we've seen how this can go sideways in other shows. Okay. Stranger Things, for example, where the actors visibly aged faster than their characters.
Oh, yeah.
And in the Harry Potter world, I think that disconnect could really break the magic, especially when the story is so deeply tied to those formative years at Hogwarts.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine if by the time Harry's facing Voldemort in the final season, the actor looks more like he's ready to retire from the Auror department than graduate from Hogwarts.
Right.
It just wouldn't feel right.
It wouldn't. And to make matters even trickier, Warner Bros. Recently pushed the series premiere to 2027.
Oh, wow.
So they're in this position of having to find 11-year-old actors who can convincingly play their parts, knowing those actors will be several years older before filming even begins.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a tough job for the casting director.
It's a real dilemma. They can't cast teenagers who already look too old, but they also need actors who will still look believable as those characters mature throughout the series.
Yeah, it's like trying to predict how a magical creature will grow. Will they be a cute puffskein or a troublesome niffler in a few years?
Right, exactly. And the articles offer a few possible solutions, and some are more plausible than others. One idea is to film multiple scenes back-to-back like they did with the Deathly Hallows movies.
Okay.
To try and minimize those jarring time jumps between seasons.
That makes sense. That worked pretty well for those films.
Right.
But filming an entire series like that,
Yeah.
that's got to be a logistical nightmare.
It certainly would be. Another suggestion is to speed up the production schedule, maybe releasing a season each year.
Okay.
That way they'd be filming pretty intensely over a shorter period, which might actually result in a more consistent look and feel.
Kind of like a throwback to the way they filmed TV shows back in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
A new season every year.
Yeah.
But that would be a huge undertaking for a production this massive.
It would, and let's be honest, some roles might need to be cast with older actors from the get-go. I mean, Dumbledore isn't exactly a spring chicken in the books.
Right. Forbes even mentioned John Lithgow, who's in his late 70s, as a possibility.
Oh, wow.
But even then, you can't expect an actor of that age to be around for potentially 10 years of filming.
That's true. It raises some interesting questions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you balance authenticity with practicality, especially when dealing with characters who age alongside the audience that grew up with them?
And I'm curious to see how they navigate that. And speaking of navigating tricky situations, the articles also touch on the other casting hurdles they're facing. I mean, 32,000 audition tapes for the main trio alone.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of pressure to find the perfect Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
The weight of fan expectations is enormous. You can't underestimate the passion people have for these characters. It's like they're casting the Avengers of the wizarding world.
Right. And let's not forget about the darker themes that start to emerge later in the books.
Yeah.
How do you stay true to that aspect of the story without potentially alienating younger viewers?
Right.
It's a real balancing act.
It is. This adaptation isn't just about recreating what we've already seen. It's about finding a way to translate those complex themes and characters for a new generation, and that raises a whole set of interesting challenges and possibilities.
Yeah, I think it does.
What's particularly interesting to me is how the darkness in Harry Potter evolves alongside the characters. It's not all whimsy and magic, is it?
Yeah, you're right. From the very first book, there's this sense of loss, right? There's lurking evil.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's there. And as the series progresses, those shadows deepen, mirroring in a way the experiences that we all face as we kind of, grow up and mature.
Exactly. We see prejudice, we see manipulation, and the horrors of war.
Right.
It goes hand in hand with the characters' journeys and the reader's own journeys, too, as we grapple with increasingly complex themes.
And that's what makes the adaptation so tricky, right? How do you translate those complex themes for a television audience, which might include much younger viewers?
Yeah.
How do you depict Voldemort's return in a way that's genuinely terrifying without being too intense?
Right.
Or portray the trauma that Neville endures without being too graphic? The real tightrope walk for the filmmakers.
It is. It makes you think about the limitations of the visual medium. Remember that scene in the first film?
Oh, yeah?
Where Harry sees his parents in the mirror of her eyes?
Right.
In the book, it's this incredibly moving, emotionally resonant moment, but in the film, while visually stunning, it doesn't quite pack the same emotional punch.
That's so true, and that's the challenge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Finding a way to convey those internal struggles, those nuances of grief and moral ambiguity in a way that resonates on screen.
I think that's where a television series has the potential to excel.
Okay.
There's more space, more time to explore those complexities. Perhaps they can expand on certain scenes, add new ones, even
Right.
to provide more context and depth.
It makes me think about Snape, for example, in the books. We experience his character largely through Harry's eyes, right?
Right.
With all the accompanying mistrust and resentment.
Mm-hmm.
But a series could delve deeper into Snape's backstory, allowing us to understand his motivations more fully.
Absolutely. And we could explore other characters more deeply, too. Draco Malfoy, Luna Lovegood, even the Weasley twins.
Yeah.
Give them more dimension beyond their roles in Harry's immediate orbit.
It's like being able to explore all those hidden corners of Hogwarts that we only glimpsed in the films. And speaking of things we only glimpsed, what about the visual effects? They've come a long way since that first Harry Potter film.
Oh, the possibilities. Imagine the creatures, the spells, the Quidditch matches brought to life with the technology we have now.
Oh, yeah.
It could be truly spectacular.
It sends shivers down my spine just thinking about it. And it's not just about spectacle, is it?
No.
It's about how those effects can enhance the storytelling, make those darker themes even more impactful.
Precisely, think about the potential for new creatures, new magical elements that weren't in the film.
Yeah.
It's like opening a whole new chapter in the Harry Potter universe.
And that brings us back to the challenge of adaptation. They're not just recreating the books.
Right.
They're building upon them, expanding the world in ways we haven't seen before.
And as viewers, we get to be a part of that journey. It's like waiting for our Hogwarts acceptance letter all over again.
So where does this leave us, you might ask? We've discussed the challenges of casting, the intricacies of adapting complex themes,
Yeah.
and the sheer excitement of seeing this world come to life with modern visual effects. But what does it all mean for us, the eager fans waiting to board the Hogwarts Express for this new adventure?
It reminds us that adaptation is a delicate art.
Yeah, it's like taking a magical plant from the pages of a book and trying to replant it in this, vast landscape of television.
Right, you need the right conditions, careful nurturing, and maybe even a sprinkle of Felix Felicis.
A little luck never hurts. But seriously, knowing all these behind-the-scenes challenges, right, the casting dilemmas, the pressure to honor the source material,
Yeah.
it gives you a whole new appreciation for what HBO is trying to accomplish here.
It's like we've been given a glimpse into the room of requirement, where all the creative solutions are being conjured up.
And I have a feeling the journey is going to be just as fascinating as the destination.
Right.
As fans, we get to speculate, we get to analyze and ultimately experience the magic unfold when the series finally premieres.
And that anticipation, that shared excitement, it's part of what makes the Harry Potter fandom so special.
Yeah, it's a testament to the enduring power of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
The way they continue to capture our imaginations, even years after the last book was published.
Absolutely.
So, knowing all of this, what are you most excited or maybe even a little apprehensive about seeing brought to life in this new Harry Potter series?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Let us know, and let's keep this magical conversation going.